Hello, it is Michael Linson of Smart Classroom Management. So, how do you stop talking in your classroom? What we really mean is, how do we stop talking when we don't want any talking? How do we stop side talking? How do we stop excessive talking or talking when you're giving a lesson or talking during independent practice? How do we get rid of that? It's an important question, and I'm going to answer for you. I have a solution. But before we get there, please do me a favor. If you like these videos, please subscribe. Please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. This is a new channel, and I want to continue to grow it. And as long as we continue to get bigger and bigger every week, I'll continue to provide these videos. Okay, so excessive talking, what do you do? It's actually very simple. And so I'm going to explain the simple way to rid your classroom of this talking that you don't want. But then we're going to kind of pivot to a really cool strategy you may have never used before that puts some of the power to curb excessive talking into the hands of your students. And it kind of can help with their maturity and take some of the pressure, if you feel about some of the pressure over you making sure that you're taking care of it all. It kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off your shoulders. But first, it's really, really important that you have a rule that addresses talking. Here at Smart Classroom Management, we have a classroom management plan proven to be effective. We have one for elementary teachers, and we also have one that is for middle and high school teachers. So two separate classroom management plans. If you want to check those out, you can find them in the sidebar of the Smart Classroom Management website. Along the bottom of the sidebar, you can find those there. But one of the rules is raise your hand before speaking or leaving your seat. So it's essentially they must get permission to speak or to leave their seat. Now, within that, we define when it is okay to talk. So during the school day, we define that when we're working in groups, that it's okay to talk. If you want your students to be able to talk during certain transitions or routines, then you're clear on that as well. One of the beauties of Smart Classroom Management is that we provide the strategies, the approach, and the philosophy, but you're still able to create the exact classroom that you want. It isn't perfectly cookie cutter, and we designed it that way in order for you, again, to have the classroom that you want that fits your philosophy and your personality. So, but it's really important that you define what that means, what no talking looks like, that it's not whispering, it's not turning, it's not, you can even include hand signals or notes. You can include that all as defined as the no talking rule. But it's important that you define it. The younger the students are, the more you have to model what that looks like. I'll sit in the class with my students. I'll switch with the students, pretend that student is the teacher. Then I'll sit there and I will show them how not to behave or what the rule, what it looks like to break that rule. And then again, what it looks like to follow that rule. And again, this doesn't mean that your classroom has to be silent all the time. You choose and you define when it does need to be silent. And it absolutely does when you are teaching. So when you're presenting a lesson, your students do have to be quiet. While they're working independently, they do need to be quiet because the work is better. So the product that they deliver is going to be much better, of a higher quality. And the second thing is they're going to get finished faster. And so you do want to get rid of all talking when they're supposed to be working independently, or again during your lessons. And then you define at times. You can say, hey, during this period while we're doing this transition, you're allowed to talk with your friends until I give a signal or whatever it is. Okay, so that's the first thing. You have to have a rule. You have to define it and teach it. And then, of course, the most important part of that is you have to enforce. So you have to follow through with the predetermined consequence. Again, our classroom management plans will show you how to do those, how to follow through, and what the consequences should be. Again, they're proven effective no matter where you teach, what neighborhood or whatever. It doesn't make any difference as long as you follow our sort of paint by numbers way of giving consequences and following through, and all that is in those classroom management plans. This will work really, really well. Okay, so that enforcement part, your consistency though, is critical. And so you have to have really good supervision, observation powers, making sure you're not turning your back on your students and that sort of thing. But as soon as you prove to them that you are consistent, that you follow through, and that you do catch that talking, and you follow through again with the consequence, with the predetermined consequence, then the talking will be gone. This is a guarantee. This is a promise. I've followed this same process for 33 years now, from ages kindergarten, all the way through high school, and it absolutely works and works really well. Now, it's important to mention that the high school plan looks a little bit different, and you'll have to see that. But again, the key is the follow through. So anyway, that's our standard way. That's our kind of base that we recommend. It works incredibly well. However, I mentioned that you may want to empower your students. So once this is established, if you like, and again, it's up to you, but it can be really effective. But once you've proven to be a good leader and you have good management skills and things are going well in your classroom, you can add this addendum to your plan. And the way it works is you can allow your students to take care of the initial talking, or the initiation of someone talking. You can put it in their hands without you getting involved at all. So the way this works is, if I were to turn to my neighbor in class, if I'm a student, and I turn and I start talking to that person without permission, so I didn't raise my hand or anything, I didn't ask permission, and I turn and start talking to my neighbor, and I, as the teacher, I'm seeing this, by the way. I'm seeing this happening, and I'm seeing if the addendum, if they can take care of it on their own. Because when you empower students to kind of take care of this kind of thing on their own, they are buying in to all the wonderful things about being a student. They're buying into learning and doing the right thing. So again, the way it works is, and you're going to model this, if I, as a student, if I turn and speak to the student next to me, so I'm breaking a rule, correct? But there's an addendum, a way to get out of the teacher actually following through with the consequence. And here's how it works. The student that is being talked to, so the student right here, would give that student a sign. They wouldn't look at them, they would just raise their finger, and you can do any sign that you want, any sign, as long as it's not like a culturally offensive or anything, be careful. But so in this case, I use like a cross a finger like this, and I just have them kind of wave it like that, okay? And so this student would turn, wave it like that, and that says, politely, it's a way of saying, by the way, this all has to be done with politeness. It's a way of saying, you're not allowed to talk right now, I'm working. And again, it's polite. We're not sticking our hand in the student's face. We're not putting that in the person who initiated the talking. We're not doing that in their face. It's just raising up, just kind of doing one of these, and that's it. That student gets the message, turns and starts doing their work. Teacher doesn't have to follow through. Just continue with how things are going. Okay? If you as a teacher observing this happening and the student continues to talk or the other student talks back to them anyway, then you follow through per normal. But again, what this does is it raises maturity, so it's a positive thing, a positive way to do it, and you'll find that once you get to this sort of level, it becomes a point where it never happens. Like you never have to follow through, because when this happens one time or even two times, they just stop trying. It's really amazing and it works incredibly well. But again, you're looking for politeness. You're modeling that this is a polite thing to do, and it's a polite to accept it. You don't say anything, but if you're given this sign because you turn to talk to someone, you turn back to your work. Yeah, I was going to say something, but I think I'll say the next part here in a moment. But first, so what this is you're showing grace based on learning. You're showing grace based on learning and making good decisions and doing the right thing in the moment. Because some of the time, especially if they've been in classrooms where the teacher didn't have good classroom management skills and the students were talking all the time, they have these bad habits. And so this very effectively fixes those bad habits. And they start appreciating the sacredness of learning independently, working independently, and the sacredness of listening and paying attention while you're teaching good lessons, while you're teaching compelling lessons. So to review, this must comes first. So you teach that, give it a couple weeks. It's always best at the beginning of the school year. However, if you're having problems with talking now, it's perfectly okay to start over again with your classroom management plan. Start over again, teach the rule, define it, enforce, promise you're going to enforce, and start enforcing. Things are going well with that. You want to increase the maturity level and the appreciation for being in your class and listening and being respectful and quiet and focused on their work during independent work time. You can add an addendum, and you'll do it just like that. Very transparent. You'll say to your students, hey, we're doing really well on the kind of no talking without raising your hand rule. Here's what I want to try. Here's what I'd like to do. And then you teach it. Teach the sign. You require that there's politeness. And the result is grace based on learning, handling it the right way. And again, it's really, really effective. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave a comment below. This is a new channel, so I really, really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you giving this video a thumbs up, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to this channel. Really happy you're here. Hope you have a great week. See you next time.